We are back. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Buds and Blue Jays. I'm Jesse Burrell, joined by co-host Riley McConnell. And Riley, I don't know about you, but I could not be more excited to be back in business.
Merry Christmas to you too, Jesse. This is awesome. Just so all of a sudden, Jesse and I were talking about 2 hours ago, and Jesse was in a pretty crap mood, to put things lightly. And all of a sudden I get this message, let's go, baseball's back. And he retweeted about 20 different things on Twitter, blew up my Twitter. He's ready to go. I'm ready to go. You guys should be ready to go. This is going to be awesome.
I can't say I've been in such a good mood all afternoon. After 99 days of MLB imposing a lockout on the players voted 26-12 in favor of a new agreement, and we're back. The players wanted to play, and here we are. Let's go.
And the watchers wanted to watch, and the talkers want to talk, and we're going to talk now.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into it. I guess what they agreed here. There were a lot of talks going back and forth on talks about the CBT. We talked a lot of it last week with Quinn here about what the owners were proposing, what the players were proposing. But here's kind of what they settled on. The plan as of now is we're going to play a full 162-game season with full pay for the players. The season's going to be extended 3 more days. And the games that can't be remade are going to be rated with a full 9-inning doubleheader. So no more of this 7-inning doubleheader stuff. We're going to play full 9-inning games. So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that. We're going to get a full 162, which is great. There are a few more things that they have established on. We've talked before that the National League is going to be adopting the designated hitter. We knew that. We talked about that at the time. That is exciting. We're going to have a draft lottery implemented, which we've seen in other sports. MLB, or not MLB, NHL and NBA has had a draft lottery system. So baseball's going to get some of that to try to stop their tanking issue. We're going to have draft pick inducements to discourage service time manipulation. So I'm not really sure how that's going to play out, but we'll just have to wait and see. Plus limiting amount of times of players for the options up and down from the minor league. So a lot of good changes there and stuff I think we're taking in with open arms.
A lot of changes, man. I think for the better. I don't want to say who won or lost this deal. But yeah, like you, Jesse, I also am curious to see what transpires as this goes on, like that whole option move, things like that, the tanking. I don't really know about a whole lot of teams tanking now. I mean, this would be the year to do it. Andrew Jones's kid is slotted in first goal.
Right, yeah.
First overall. I mean, you talk about being a good son of, you got our guys in Toronto, not saying the Jays should do any tanking, but whoever gets them in this lottery business, I think will be very lucky.
I mean, the son of a former major leaguer, in terms of good one like Andrew Jones, he just screams Blue Jays prospect, right?
Best defensive center fielder of all time, next to Ken Griffey Jr.
But we'll see here. There has been an issue. The problem is my theory that this draft lottery isn't going to really solve anything, because how the MLB draft kind of works, that the difference between having the first overall pick and like the 4th overall pick doesn't really matter. The MLB draft is such a crapshoot, and that it takes so long for players to develop anyway, that I don't really think this is going to be too much of an issue. But it will be cool to see, if you're a fan of one of these teams like Pittsburgh or Arizona or some of these guys, to see that you can have a chance at the number 1 overall pick. And it's always exciting to see those ping pong balls bounce around and see if you end up getting a talent.
Yeah, and it definitely draws the element of more viewership. If people know that Pittsburgh's picking first, that won't be as exciting as that bingo machine rolling around, and it's gonna increase the audience. And that's we're trying to promote the game here, and I think that's a good little, I won't call it a gimmick, because it is in the NHL for sure, and you said the NBA, so I guess they're just kind of getting on the times as far as things go for how they select draft picks. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm with you there, man. I think it's going to be really exciting to see, and I'm looking forward to it. The MLB draft is now going to be 20 rounds too, so we were worried about they were up to like 50 rounds. Now they cut it down to like even 5 in the COVID season, and now they're up to 20, which I think is a good spot for the players and for the league. And one thing the Players Association did have to give up, though, in the 2020 COVID shortened season, the players filed a grievance against Major League Baseball, saying they weren't arguing in good faith, which if you were a baseball fan during that time, you can agree with them. So they've dropped that lawsuit, which was good. The players obviously probably put it behind them. It's in the past, and the owners don't have to worry about it anymore. So that's good. That's behind us. And one thing, though, that I think MLB really got out of this is they now have a 45-day window for Major League Baseball to implement rule changes into the game. So if they wanted to put, like, say, a ban on shifts, or if they wanted to have the larger bases, or if they wanted to implement a pitch clock, they just have to give the players 45 days notice to do that. And I think MLB was actually really happy to get that out of the negotiation.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, if I'm working a job and my boss lets me know 45 days in advance to kind of make those adjustments, yeah, I can get behind that a little bit. At the end of the day, though, with the lawsuit being dropped, I'm just happy that they kissed and made up, because it was getting to be a ridiculous point, man. Like, do owners even care about baseball, or is it just about the green? Like, it was getting ridiculous, and it really was starting to tick me off. One more thing before you go any further, Jesse, I missed my chance to go in before. I really want to thank and congratulate Quinn on what a great job he did. People who watch this and know Quinn, I mean, whatever sport it is, baseball, hockey, like, one of the smartest guys. And he did more than fill my spot. It was really, really good to see. And that was a great choice for you to bring on Quinn too. I was really happy when I saw that.
Hey, he's one of the good guys. And we're going to have guests on all throughout the season here. Quinn just got lucky to be the first one. If you want to be a guest on the show, like, as we go on into the season, let us know, because we're buds in Blue Jays. We need our buds, right, to come on and to do this. So we're really excited to get those, but we are also really excited to have you back, Riley. So that's always good as well.
Yeah, no, good to be back, man. Got my ducks in a row, and things are looking up, especially after the news 2 hours ago, man. It's just, things are just going up from here, man. I'm super excited. I mean, you can't tell. I mean, I'm definitely not an emotional guy, and you can't tell, when I get excited or not. But it was just too much crap going on for too long. And like I said, I'm just glad that they kissed and made up. Yep. And I'm really looking forward and going to see what happens with this.
Do you have any thoughts about the chances of, like, banning the shift or implementing pitch clocks or a larger basis? Do you have any initial thoughts on any of those things?
So let's start with the least kind of looked at one, and maybe the least important, which would be bases. So what comes to mind when I think about bigger bases, I'm picturing the white and the orange softball bags.
Oh yeah, okay.
On first base for softball, on first base, and that's not exactly what it is. It's just a larger bag, and you can chime in if you actually know the answer. I think it might have something to do with the safety, slides, things like that, on why they want the bigger bases.
Yeah, I had two thoughts. One of them is more player safety, right? They want to avoid the base runner stepping on the first baseman's ankle or something like that. And there's also a thought that they could increase stolen bases, because if the bases are bigger, there's a shorter distance in parts from going through there. And that, I guess, gets more action, more people running on the field and whatnot. I know they tried it out in one of the minor leagues. I'm not sure which one. And I don't remember the results from it. I don't know if it caused a bigger reaction to more stolen bases or whatnot. But like you said, it seems pretty minor.
Well, in that too, like, if I was commissioned, like, and the game has changed, and I'm all about player safety. But Jesse, back in Bantam or in Midget, when we were playing for the Wellington Lynx, like, I've gone in and broken up double plays before as a 16-year-old, and and that was something I grew up doing, and major league players grew up doing. And now, I mean, this isn't a new thing, obviously. Like, they've taken that out of the game after Chase Utley decided to just destroy. Who was it? It wasn't Ruben Tejada, was it?
I don't remember.
I can't. It was their shortstop. It's gonna bug me, but anyways, yeah, they're changing it for the better of player safety, and I can get behind that. Now, the second one is pitch clock. Now, if we had our boy Mark Burley on the mound, we wouldn't have a problem with this. And like you said about Rafael Dolis,
Jason Frazier was a bad one too.
Oh, great name, and maybe he needed those time between pitches, but it speeds the game of baseball up a little bit, which is fine. By my standpoint, like, I'm one of the people who do not mind the pace of baseball the way it is. I understand where they're coming from, but I enjoy it. Like, if they call football gridiron chess, baseball is a different kind of chess game. I like when people take their time. It's the beauty of the game. Like, one of my favorites, Nomar Garcia-Pera, stepping out, adjusting his gloves in the batter's box, pitcher taking the rosin bag and, getting his hands ready. Like, that's all part of the game to me. And that's been part of the game for years. I don't mind that they want a pitch clock, though. I get what they're doing with it. I just like all the little things within the game within the game.
What was the old saying? Was it that hitting is timing and pitching is just upsetting timing? So doing whatever you can to.
That's what it is, man.
Right?
Yep.
The one thing there though is that yes, I'm with you. A pitch clock should be good. It should get the game moving, just keep the flow of action going up. I think what it might stop though is the pitchers who go max effort all the time. If you only have, say, 35 seconds between pitches, your body can't recover as much. Maybe you're not throwing 100% all the time, full go. But I think that's a very minor case, and it shouldn't affect too many guys.
No, so and that actually might lead into this next point I'll make too, which is the number 3 thing on your list. So pitchers, speeding up their delivery, maybe that will affect, on 162 games, that might, decrease their strikeouts because of the decrease in velocity because they're throwing so often. So, let's pretend that hitters get a 0.005 increase on their batting average. So now we've just banned the shift.
Right.
How much of an increase is that gonna? It's those 2 things are gonna create a hitter's environment for sure. Could you imagine you're Joey Gallo and that pitcher's got 14 seconds to throw a baseball after the catcher throws it back to him, and the second baseman is playing where a second baseman is, and Joey Gallo hits it, but a frozen rope to right field every time. It's batting is going to go like skyrocket. Lefty power hitters might be the most valuable bats in baseball right now if that was to happen.
Yeah, we'll see if they do ever end up implementing that rule. But now, because of the labor agreement that was struck here today, Major League Baseball does have the power on 45 days notice to do that. And their committee, which I saw today, was based on 4 player reps, 1 umpire, and then 6 MLB reps. So MLB will have their way. They have majority rules there in deciding that. We can talk about that more as it happens, if it does happening. The big takeaways I'd have if they do decide to ban the shift is that, yes, league-wide BABIP is going to go up, so batting average on balls in play, which is going to increase for higher batting averages all across the league. It's going to be those slow left-handed hitters that are really going to increase, like Joey Gallo and guys
Matt
like
Olson
that.
too.
Yeah, exactly. So players like that are going to be the ones that get the big increase. And plus, I think the value of having a really good defensive middle infielder is going to increase dramatically. Like, you will now maybe see teams put guys who are just defensive specialists, middle infielders, up the middle, instead of these other guys where we see now second base and shortstop has become more of a bat first position. If they do ban the shift, maybe we see those defensive specialists come back a little more.
Yeah, the defensive an Omar Vizquel-esque type of player kind of just triggered, like, just to throw it out there. Mookie Betts, known as an outfielder, but also can play second base. Maybe he's a more valuable second baseman in this type of MLB. We don't know yet.
Yeah, so that'll be something to look forward to. I'm sure if it does get implemented, we'll talk about it as we go. But Riley, baseball is back, and we are so excited. In fact, as of 10 minutes ago, free agents can start signing. So I am fully expecting a rash of big moves, trades, free agents to happen, honestly, like this weekend, throughout the next few days. So we're going to be back. We're going to talk about them as they happen, as we go. But we ran out on our Twitter feed some questions that some fans have been asking for us here, because not only are we excited, our fan base is excited for stuff as well. So we're going to run through some of these questions here. Let's go back and forth and discuss them and see what we think. Ready?
Good to go, Jesse. On your mark, man.
All right. So the first question, we'll start with a very generic one here, is which position in free agency do you think the Blue Jays are addressing before the season gets going here?
Oh, you're going to field this to me first?
Yeah, let's go right out of the bat.
Perfect. So the first thing that comes to mind, if we're just to go after one position, pitchers included even in this, is got to be third base. We've seen the way that this lineup has seemed to be structured, which is not Vlad Guerrero Jr. playing third base. He I'm gonna make the assumption and predict that he's gonna be a first baseman for maybe the rest of his career.
I think so. Once you make the move, it's hard to go back.
I'm totally fine with that. Even I know he's not 34, and this isn't a Miguel Cabrera type move or Pujols when you go from left field to third to first kind of thing. But when you got the bat that this kid does, I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that. But the Jays right now, if it's not Espinal, and I'm an Espinal guy, I love his defense. Yes, his bat is a little bit subpar. But if we're going to make one move, I'm picking third base. And of course, like I said, the guys who I want, but just to give you a generic what position, it's got to be third base.
Yeah, we did do an episode probably about a month ago now of moves we think the Jays should make during when the lockout was over. So I suggest going back and checking that out. And I agree with you. Third base it's like the weak spot in our lineup, and plus we have Espinal, who could just play second base if we have it too. So you really do think the Jays are going to acquire at least another infielder, whether it's a third baseman or a second baseman. Did you see how jacked though Santiago Espinal looks in Bo Bichette's Instagram story there?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
He looked pretty good. He looked pretty good, man.
Guy looks determined. If anything, we saw Vladdy get in better shape and have a good year. Now, I'm not saying Espinal's going to have a Vlad Guerrero type breakout here, but he could be a piece. He could be a guy on the bench here that they go for and get. So we'll see. My answer to this question is we just need more pitching. Pitching. We always need more pitchers. Jays have their good main core of 4 guys with Ross Stripling and Nate Pearson being down there next, but I want to see more depth and some more bottom end pitching, 4 or 5 type starters. I've mentioned Yusei Kikuchi before. There's going to be other guys like that as we go on. So that's where I really think the Jays are going to target and try to hammer that out.
Yeah, like you said, man, I definitely don't disagree with that. We could always use more pitching. You can never have enough. Pitching is what wins and loses you games, right. More often than not, right?
I'm with you there. And we've seen Jays teams in the past, when they've got good pitching, they play really well. When the pitching isn't there, it doesn't really matter how good their offense is. They always seem to be struggling. So yeah. All right. Next question on our list. What new bat will the Jays realistically get versus which one do you want them to get?
Well, I mean, I'll do the one I want them to get.
That's the more fun one, right?
I mean, yeah. So like right off the bat, and I answered it before, I said Matt Chapman. And I think just to throw another name out, I think Freddie Freeman would be another fun one. Let's honorary Canadian. His mother is Canadian, I believe.
Yeah, he's played for Canada in the World Baseball Classic.
Played in the Baseball Classic for Canada. I mean, that'd be a fun one. There's a lefty bat too. You want to talk realistically? I think Matt Chapman would be more realistic. And of course, we want to go out and acquire pitching. I still think that I'm with you on this, Jesse, that they will get an arm. Whether
Probably a few, honestly.
Yeah, definitely one starter, one relief. I think that would be the smart move. Even if they don't get 2 starters, I think the wise thing here would be to go third base, a starter who would slot in, like you said, 4 or 5 spot at least, and then another arm in the pen.
Yep, all good choices. And it would be really nice if they can get something out of that there. My choice for the one I really want the most was Ketel Marte from Arizona. I've been hammering the drum, beating that drum for Ketel Marte. I think he's a superstar. And, like I said, you can get him at a non-superstar price, right? In terms of realistic, I could see the Jays trying to go for someone who has sneaky upside, but hasn't put it all together. So maybe one of these big power types, but doesn't really have the bat to ball skills, and maybe they get lucky with a good BABIP season. I'm thinking like maybe Eugenio Suarez, a type of guy, or if maybe they go to Colorado and they get like a Garrett Hampson or something like that, some guy who can play versatile positions or whatnot. But those aren't nearly as fun. I want to dream big, and all reports seem like the Jays are going to go in and to try to make some firepower happen, whether that is Freddie Freeman, whether it is a Jose Ramirez trade, whether it is, Matt Chapman and Frankie Montas. Like, it does seem like the Jays are going to do something, and I can't wait to see what it is.
Yeah, those are all great names, first of all, too. Montas, I forgot about. To me, he's not even a 5 guy, but if they could somehow get him in a deal that isn't going to hurt our real future, I think that would be great. Hampson is another one you said, kind of a middle infielder / outfielder, a quick guy too.
Yep.
He's got wheels, and I think Colorado is one of those teams that we might be able to make a better grab because they're kind of blowing the team up. Same with Oakland.
Actually, Brendan Rodgers, if we can get him out of Colorado, because he's a guy who was a good prospect who hasn't hit. If we can get him, let's do that.
He's I don't know. He's either 23 or 24 as of right now. And that's in MLB ready at 23, 24 for a third baseman, I think is great.
Yeah.
That would be that would be awesome.
Let's move to same question, but let's move over to pitchers. What pitchers do you think do you want the Jays to get, and which one do you realistically think they're going to acquire?
So I'm with you on Kikuchi. I don't know what his the cost is. Again, pitchers I think are a little more valuable in a trade than some position players, unless you're like a Matt Chapman. I think that trade's going to cost a lot. But if you're what I would just call an above average WAR player, like when you have about a 1 WAR in the wins above replacement, like just above the league average, I think is what they need.
They need a few of those guys too, like 2 or 3.
They do. They do. And the replacement level pitching is so important because no one wants to go out. And if we all of a sudden have 5 pitchers with a 5+ ERA, we're not going to win any ball games. Hopefully not our starters, but we've seen it with our bullpen for sure.
Right. And so we realistically, that's probably what the Jays are going to do. They're going to get little guys like that. They have been linked to Cincinnati's rotation, so guys like Sonny Gray, Luis Castillo would be a nice one, but I think there's real interest in Tyler Mahle, and who's got some breakout upside, so I think that would be a good pitcher that the Jays can go get here.
Yeah, I like Castillo would be great. Hey, man, that would be great. I think that, he's a comp to Berrios in a way, and I feel like we don't need to make another huge shift like that in our farm system. What came through the pipeline for us was Alek Manoah. What came via a big signing was Ryu.
Yep.
What came at the big trade was Berrios. Let's work around that and then find our smaller pieces. Like I think that
was a signing too.
And then of course, Kevin Gausman was a signing too, which is great. That's a plus rotation already. You're right. We do need that 5 starter. And if it's not a huge price, go after it. I like my Oakland guys. Oakland has always been a near and dear team to me. I think Montes, if the price isn't too high, which it's hard to say at this point, it really is.
Yeah.
But if it's not too high, no, how do you gauge a player really? I mean, Montes had 20 starts with the White Sox and then, came out of the pen long for Oakland for a bit. And then I think probably the last 2 years is his only full seasons on a rotation, right?
One thing I will say about Montes is that splitter is electric. And if we can get him in here with Kevin Gausman working on his splitter, that could be really good. He could be a very good guy, a really good piece. So that would be the guy I think I really want the Jays to go to get. Yeah. And logically thinking, I think it's going to be like a guy like Tyler Mahle, or it'll be some of these older guys who are kind of 5th, 6th end starters who haven't really done a whole lot in their career that are league average guys. There's a bunch of them, and that'll probably be likely what's to happen.
Well, trade value as soon if a guy's 28 compared to if a guy's 36. There's a huge amount of differential in value there. Everyone loves the young guys. If you can't, put some veteran presence in that rotation.
All right, next question. And these questions are all kind of fairly similar here. This one says, will there be more high impact trades or free agent signings by the Jays this offseason? And if you had to pick one of both, which one would they be?
I love that question. That's a great question.
Oh, we have great fans.
We do have great fans. That's why we got great questions.
Yeah.
So free agents. So how should I field this question? So we want to make one trade and one free agent signing.
Yes. And which one do you think there's going to be more of? Do you think the Jays are going to make more trades before the season starts, or sign more free agents before the season starts?
I think it's going to be pretty equal, but I think what they did today. Do you want to say what they did today?
We'll save that a little towards the end, but the Jays did sign Joe Biagini and Greg Bird. We'll talk about a little of them towards the end of the episode here. But some familiar names Jays fans know.
Perfect. So I think that the Jays do a lot of that. They get pieces that way. I think if any trades are going to go on, it's going to be. I don't see them really trading away any big names in our MLB. We're on the Jays are going up. There's Bo's not getting those. Bo and Cavan and Springer. No one's getting traded.
The only exception though might be Alejandro Kirk, because the Jays do have a ton of catching depth, and it seems like Kirk is the one name that might go. And there has been talk about maybe trading Lourdes Gurriel on a Jose Ramirez deal. But other than that, I'm with you. I don't think anyone's really going to be moved off our big league team.
I hate that. I love Lourdes. I'd be pretty ticked if they did that. Kirk's got a lot of value. He has the potential to be a top hitting catcher in the MLB.
Right. That's why I want him on the team.
Yeah, no kidding. Me too, man.
Yeah.
I love Danny Jansen, but you take away his glasses and he's not going to do the things. I mean, no, nothing against people with glasses or anything. One of my best friends wears glasses,
Wow, man,
but
coming hard at people with glasses today. Yikes.
wow, yeah, first day I come back and I'm a big bully all of a sudden. No, I would just rather see Kirk. I mean, Jansen is not nowhere near close to be the hitter. Just teach Kirk some basic defense and just let him do his thing behind the plate. Let him hit 35 home runs.
Yeah, so you think then that if they do make trades, it's going to be guys like kind of down in our system. I'm assuming Gabriel Moreno was off limits, and we're only trading some of the next few guys.
If someone went to go trade him, I'd just slap their wrist away. Like no touchy. Just let him ferment down there. Just let our catchers be front office. Just let them do their thing. If anyone gets run out of town, give Jansen up for a bullpen arm, a strong bullpen arm, and let the catchers do their thing. Let the catchers do their thing. I really want to see Kirk in a Jays uniform.
My answer to this question here is that I really think, I don't know about more of, but I do think a trade is going to happen first, simply because owners were not allowed to really engage with the players and the likeness of players. So free agent signings, unless they were really close to a deal before the lockout happened, that they were be able to make constant communication. But I know that GMs have been able to communicate with each other. So I really do think that they've already been talking pieces, and that trades are much more likely to come together quicker. So maybe we'll see a high impact trade, maybe with the Oakland guys, maybe with Jose Ramirez, hopefully Ketel Marte, and we can hopefully
let's just get them all.
Yeah, sure. Honestly, let's do it.
Let's just sign them all. Rodgers, you own one of the biggest cell phone corporations in the world. Just put out the money. It's been since 1993, and we're against a tough division. Tampa Bay isn't even supposed to be a good team. We got 4 teams, including us, competing for a pennant. It's a hard. I've said this. It's been the hardest division in baseball for a long time. The NL West is very tough. There's no doubt about that. But it's the AL East, man. In the States, on the East Coast, people love the Red Sox. People love the Yankees. Up north, people love the Jays. You got 3 huge fan bases, a lot riding on those games.
And let's not sleep on the Baltimore Orioles either. It's depending on what publication you read, they have the best farm system in all of baseball. So their young talent is coming. And yes, it might be a year or two before that all comes together in the majors, but they're coming too. So the AL East is a juggernaut. It's going to remain a juggernaut. And hey, if the Blue Jays are going to win a World Series, there's no doubt about it. You can say they earned it. They deserved what they did for all the work they had to go through.
It's going to be with our guys too. It's a matter of time. We just need to surround them with the best signings, trades, whatever, with the guys that we've brought through our own system. They've done a great job to develop themselves. I love that Vladdy got in shape after clearly being out of shape. Bo has been an absolute superstar. I hope Cavan can turn it around. Lourdes is playing great. He's not as young as those guys. He's a fun guy. He's a locker room guy. Manoah, the same thing. He's great. I love watching Manoah. He might be, one of the most underrated young pitchers in all of baseball. It's going to be great.
And we've already talked about a lot of the free agents that we think the Jays are going to get. I do still think they're going to acquire a left-handed power bat. Now, maybe they did that already by acquiring Greg Bird earlier today. But I still think Corey Dickerson's a real chance to come back and return here and something like that. So that's what it's going to be. Another outfielder. We mentioned Brett Gardner in the past. It's going to be someone like that we think the Jays are going to acquire.
I thought we said power bats. Brett Gardner can only hit it at a Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, and with the juice ball too.
Yeah, him and Curtis Granderson had one hell of a time there. Holy cow.
So I did mention the Blue Jays did already make some moves. These were minor league guys, but we signed Greg Bird, who you might remember in 2015 when the Jays were battling the Yankees down the stretch for some of those big playoff games. Greg Bird was a rookie. He came up. He actually hit, I think he had a 2-home run game in Rodgers Center late that year. But he could never really figure it out with New York. He got injured a lot. He was gone for 2 years. But last year he played with Colorado in their AAA team in Albuquerque. He had an 894 OPS with 27 home runs. So left-handed guy, he could play some first base to give Vlad a spell. He's going to get at bats with the team this year. He's going to be an impact guy, kind of like what Rowdy Tellez was before Vladdy broke it.
Yeah, I don't mind Greg Bird. I've definitely remember watching him and probably thinking fairly high about him at the time. I always, you know, yeah, I'm a Jays fan. I do appreciate the sport of baseball primarily, of course. I'm not saying I hate the Yankees. I hate the Red Sox. I do. But I'm intrigued by, a new player in the pinstripes or a new player playing for the Red Sox. It's like, oh, who's this guy? Like, how's he going to do? And yeah, I can remember when he was, hitting the ball well. I also remember him. I really know him as a guy who does not hold a good batting average. If anything, he's a guy who's going to hit for power and really only give you that tool.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. But a guy who, if you need a pinch hit, you need a home run late in the game, he's got a chance to run into one, right?
Yeah.
Jays also signed a familiar friend who we might remember is one of the best Rule 5 picks the Jays have ever made, is Joe Biagini. Joe Biagini is back with this team. We traded him in 2019 along with Aaron Sanchez to Houston. And I remember that first start Joe Biagini and Aaron Sanchez made in Houston, they went on for a combined no-hitter. And it was just like, of course they did, right? They were struggling to put it together here in Toronto. Although Joe Biagini he had some good appearances for this team, especially in 2016. I think he ended up being their setup man for a while in that bullpen, one of the only reliable guys. So I know he was kind of weird. He was a quirky guy. He said on Twitter today that he can't forget all of that Canadian he had in him or whatever. So that's why he had to come back to the Toronto Blue Jays. And
he didn't want to. I believe it was he didn't want to forget how to speak Canadian.
Right, exactly. So he came back with the team. A big fan favorite, Joe Biagini. I know a lot of Blue Jays fans are going to be happy to have him back.
Yeah, I definitely remember him in that setup earlier. Absolutely right about that. He was definitely, I definitely didn't mind him in the pen, and then they went and screwed him up trying to start games for us.
Riley, some breaking news as of 1 minute ago.
What do you got for me?
Owners have ratified the new collective bargaining agreement. Our source tells ESPN baseball is officially back. So we're go.
Let's go.
All systems go. No hold up. Labor talks are behind us. We're full steam ahead. Let's go.
And Jesse is reading that at 6:28 Eastern time.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's all we're going to do for today. I think we're going to sit back, and this is probably going to be some of the biggest free agents and trade activity window, whether that all starts tonight, whether it's in tomorrow. We fully expect the Jays to do something, honestly, throughout the course of this weekend. And you and I, we're going to be back. We're going to be talking about it when it happens. So I'm excited. I hope you're excited. Baseball's back, man. It feels like a weight off our shoulders. We're here. The boys are going to be back at the Dome before we know it. It's going to be great.
Man, we got the team to do some great things. Thank you for figuring this out, guys, because you're not going to let this great team go to waste. Mm-hmm. Baseball is back. I'm so ready. Jesse's so ready. And I know the people watching are ready too. I know we got a lot of baseball fans out there, fans of the Jays, but fans of the game. Being a fan of baseball is so great. And we really don't want to see this beautiful sport go to the wayside and just like it's going to be spring trading. It's start April baseball. Like we've danced this dance for 20 plus years, man.
Let's go. Yep. Opening day is scheduled for April 7th, and spring training games are going to start March 13th. So 3 days from now. Let's do it. Let's go. Any last things you want to add, Riley, before we log off here today?
No, we're pretty well covered, man. We're going to bring you some, stuff in the next couple of days for sure. Our phones are going to be just bouncing off the wire from, free agents and possibly trades. And that's league wide. So if you feel free, Buds Jays, interact with us on Twitter.
Yes, please do.
We're going to be part of this discussion. Like, we're super excited. It's almost like they call it a silly season in a lot. Like, it's almost like so much is going to happen. Like, we don't know where Story's going or Correa or Freeman. Like, there are huge names out there. Like, not like just big names. Like, there are names that are MVP caliber players out there in multiple. Like, it's the time, if you're not a baseball fan and you just so happen to be watching this, now's the time to get into the game, because you're gonna see things, that possibly Jesse and I have never seen before.
Buckle up, get your seatbelt in, buckle up, and let's go. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So yeah, that'll do it for us today. I fully expect that we're going to be back early in the next week to keep talking more. But like Riley mentioned, follow us on Twitter at BudsJays. If you want to come on the show, talk with Riley and I about something you want to see, like let us know. Go into our DMs. We'll talk with you about it, and we'll see if we can get you on here. If you're into Toronto Maple Leaf stuff, check out our friends over at Leafs and Lads. They're ramping up. They're doing some great stuff. They've been on the Mark Giordano trade since the start of the season. So those guys know their stuff. They're getting on there. Follow them along for the ride as well. And yeah, that'll do it for us here today. Thanks for tuning in. We're back. Let's go. Full send. Let's do it.
Let's go.